But we need our opening sound.
Go on then.
I feel like if people listen to us on just audio, they're going to think it's a beer.
Yeah,
but no,
it'd probably be better for you than that nonsense.
Yeah, probably. We are back with the Monster Energy White. And
Okay.
what do you have? Because you said you were frantically making coffee this morning.
Well,
this morning.
I was.
Midday.
I mean, I found a bag of good coffee in my cupboard, which I'd forgotten about, which is great, which has got me through the last few days. But yesterday I had a new arrival from Cypher, which is Golden Hour Honduras coffee, which I've never had coffee from Honduras. It's okay. It's not as good as some of the other stuff, but it'll do. It'll do. I've got a very good Mexican coffee I'm going to try next, which has a name I can't pronounce.
Okay. So I told you I had a way to open this.
Go on then.
And I feel like this is a comedic thing, but I feel like all of whether you are maybe like us and you have the middle age crisis, you know, where you're hitting the gym Constantly. And you're doing jiu-jitsu all the time, like we are, even though we're old and run down, or you know you need to go out and buy the watch or the sports card. Like you just have these.
I'm wearing a watch for the first time in a long time. So.
Okay, we're gonna come back to that. So I'm walking just back from the gym today, and there's I don't know, I couldn't tell if it was a security person or a cleaner, but he was staring just with an existential crisis in his mind. But he's staring at this bag of, I can't tell if it was like smushed chips or popcorn that was on the ground.
Right.
Where it was a little bit spread out. And I noticed everybody was sort of walking around it, and he's just sitting there looking at it. And it just made me feel like all these conversations we have about AI, where you're like, we're just sitting there looking at it, what's going to happen next. But it just felt like this great summary. And maybe the way to describe it, since you have kids, is I sort of get this sense. It was this feeling like you're at an amusement park and the kids are running around screaming, and you're at a restaurant, and you're just getting fast food because you're like, oh God, shut up. And the kids are upset because they're hungry, but they also want to go on the rides. And you're carrying the tray with all the drinks and the burgers on it, and you just slip and everything spills, and you just sort of stand there. You're like, I'm not angry.
You've run out of spoons.
Yeah, you're like, I'm like, this is what life is at this moment, and I've given up to this. I've given up to a higher power, as you might say in AA.
I had that feeling when we took a Land Rover around Scotland, and we took it to the worst off-road site in the UK, which is a place called Drumclog, and our car was 20 odd years old and really shouldn't have been on the road at this point. It was limping along a several thousand mile journey. We thought we'd end the trip by taking it to a horrible off-road site, and the guys were like, you're okay, as long as you stay on this part of the site, you'll be fine. And of course we went wrong and went down the bit we were supposed to stay out of, and once we got past one point there was no return. We were then into really, really bad mud, which was up to like the door sills. We got stuck so many times. The guy I was with opened the door at one point to try and get some ropes out to try and hook us up, to try and pull us out of the mud. Let the door swing wide open and it snapped off the hinges. So my back door is now hanging off. The car is stuck in mud up to literally the door, the door level. So really deep on one side at an angle. And I'm just looking at it going, I don't see how we're getting out of this. There's nobody around us.
But is it one of those things where you're just like, I'm okay with this?
No. I was looking at this going, somehow I've got to get this several hundred miles home. It's stuck in mud. There's nobody within sight that we can see to help us, except just in the distance I can see some Land Rovers, proper off-road Land Rovers, not our nonsense, off in the distance on a hill, across muddy fields, across a ditch which is full of water. I'm like, somehow I've got to get there and get them to come and help.
So you didn't have an existential crisis. You just had a crisis.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, no, fair.
I mean, now what you're saying in
I
terms
could have
of
just walked away from it.
Like driving down the wrong path and getting stuck in the mud, also maybe a good example of what is happening with the wave of AI at the moment.
Sure.
And I've noticed, as I've just read and listened to what's happening with more companies, and for anyone who's listened to this, both of us work in consulting, so we work with a lot of different clients, where it is the spaghetti at the wall type of thing. You're just like, just put AI everywhere. Like, I'm just reserved to I don't know what's going to happen I maybe have to pretend like I have some control, especially as like a CEO or a C-level, but I have a sense there is just this, like, every CEO is that cleaner or security guard staring at the broken bag of chips that they're worried will become their company. And they're like, maybe this is just my time.
How do I even clean this mess up?
Yeah, like I don't know what to do about this. I don't know if this is like a child's popcorn that I'm going to clean it up and the kid's going to come back and be upset. I don't know if I'm supposed to clean this up or it's like close enough to the store that the store is supposed to. I don't know. Is it government regulation? Is it my job? Is it the invisible hand of the market? I don't know. I've given up. I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah. No, I hear. Do you know what? I actually had a good experience this week because a lot of what I do with AI is I talk to lots of people about it. And I think everybody feels the need to have an opinion and to have something relevant to say about it. So I get a little bit frustrated when you poke certain conversations or certain products a bit and it turns out to be largely vaporware or it turns out to be largely valueless or just a dressed up ChatGPT. I actually had a good conversation this week with our AI team at Infosys where they've actually got a decent product. They've got a nicely coupled together multi-agent setup for customer service, which we're talking to people about. And it started to make me think about the way I design the stuff I'm doing. And we aren't huge steps on from these rapid proofs of concepts, but to see actually people putting them into practice in sensible, mature ways with good scalable architecture behind them, I think we are starting to see real things I can believe in now.
Give me an example.
So that was a customer service bot design, which is based on several agents, several layers of agents where the agent that you interact with is effectively a generalist, but underneath them are agents which are specifically trained in certain topic areas. So if you come through to say, I want to talk about this, it doesn't route you to something else. It, in the background, connects through to its agent, which is that source of knowledge, and funnels it up. So your interpretation layer then takes the brand tone of voice, the brand approach, the guardrails that are applicable to everything, and gives you an answer which is curated for that topic and you.
Wait, was this something you were working on, or is this
something we're talking about?
Okay. I thought this was something you experienced.
No. This is something we're looking at for clients at the moment. But I mean, if I look at my proofs of concept, they kind of do the same thing with prompt engineering. But this is a properly architected, multi-layer, truly agentic customer service. So it makes me think about, I do this stuff logically with prompts, but actually to build it in properly trained layers, that's a proper delivery.
So what are your thoughts? Because the first thing that hit my head was you're getting these layers of agents and layers of AI that are sort of doing their own thing.
Yep.
Or, again, I don't know how smart things are, but they are getting
very key
layer upon layer upon layer. 6 months ago, or maybe more, vibe coding was everywhere.
Yep.
Now vibe coding seems to have calmed down a bit, and you see things from Deloitte or other of the big four that are saying all these AI operations or initiatives maybe at companies, just most of them are failing. Yeah. And vibe coding, and I still do believe in vibe coding in a specific respect, right? Like the ability to democratize sort of technology so that anybody can craft or create something. It's the same way that I go back to GarageBand. I can use GarageBand so that anybody can make music.
That's a great analogy.
Right, but at the same time, you still have professional producers, you still have professional musicians, all of this. But it democratizes this. And I do know some people, like I do know there are some albums that are completely done in GarageBand. Sure, fine. Like you're always going to be able to find that exception case. I'm sure there's going to be some vibe coding aspects that will make it to the market. But again, it just feels like there is this wave where everybody gets excited.
Because the barrier's lowered, it becomes much easier to access. So everybody thinks that, well, I can do things with this that I couldn't do before. People want to play because there's joy in creativity.
Ooh, okay. That's something I'm gonna question you on that, because I think that was maybe a great moment that we've lost because of like social media and stuff like that. Maybe that's something that vibe coding, it feels like everything that you do, like every hobby. For example, again, for people who have been listening for a while, I play guitar. I started with Muay Thai. I play Magic, the card game. I am never going to be a champion at any of the. I'm never going to be a great guitarist. I'm never going to be, winning tournaments of Magic. Like I'm never going to be, especially in my mid 40s, a professional Muay Thai fighter. And I'm going to go back to something that we said a few episodes ago, that all of this AI stuff is about the goal or the completion. Yes. And humans are fundamentally about the state of existence or being.
Yeah, that journey.
Yeah, that you can go in and you can create for joy, and you can create for no other reason than expression that doesn't even need to be seen.
Yeah.
Right? I think one of the reasons I get along with my Muay Thai trainer, and I this is such a Dubai thing, is he's like, you've never asked to film anything, right? Like he's like, so many people come in, and we were talking today, he's like, people come in, I teach them something, and then they just go full force, like all the strength they can to sort of show off, right? And he's like, you never do that. You're very slow. You're like, but he's like, you're trying to get it right.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that, but like that joy of creativity, maybe that's the whole. Maybe AI isn't about efficiency. It's about the joy of expression eventually.
So I was reminded when you were talking just then about, and I love music as an analogy, I was reminded of a great interview with David Bowie about songwriting and music construction. And I can't remember exactly, but he was basically talking about the idea, as soon as you start making music professionally, you start deconstructing songs, deconstructing music. And by doing that, you take a lot of the joy out of it. So I used to make music. I was like everybody else. I was in a band in my late teens, early 20s, and got into songwriting and making music back then. But then I stopped. And it's something I always thought I'd quite like to go back to doing that. And we used to do guitar music, and a bit later on I did sort of trancey type stuff. And there's part of me that says I could pick that up as a hobby, playing with it now, but I like music, and I don't want to lose that joy, because you start to deconstruct things in your head of how things are put together. And I quite like how I enjoy music at the moment. But I take the same approach to like coding and proofs of concept at the moment. I enjoy the building aspect to it. The output I'm not so worried about. I never really got that from writing music. Music was stressful to me, a bit like painting, where it was stressful until it got to a point that I'd be happy with it, and you're never happy. Whereas coding, it's very black and white, where if it works, great. If it doesn't work, you fix it. And if there's something else you can add to it, well, then that's the next step of the evolution. I found that a very different mindset.
What do you think?
I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, what do you think makes it different?
I've no idea, to be honest. I think that...
Is it because one work, like there's a state, like one works and one doesn't, and the other one, you're not sure if it ever works?
It's subjective, yes. I think so. What is good enough to music, and I think with art, where you're so close to it, it's hard to objectively step back and say, that is a good output. At that point, it's done and I can walk away, because it's never quite good enough because you're too close. Whereas coding, it's black and white. Does it work? Yes. No? Fine. Fix it.
Since the whole... I guess impotence. No, not impotence. What's the word? What's the word? Like the whole kernel of something that's starting impetus.
Yeah,
impetus.
The
momentum, okay, not impotence. Yeah. What a great slip up. Yeah, the start of this whole podcast was all about AI, and so much of it has been efficiency based.
Yeah,
and all of this, and I just wonder if what you said a moment ago. Is that like the fundamental problem that we've been having, that we see this and we've gotten into such a state that all that matters to us is, can we accomplish something faster? Yeah. We've talked before about, again, that state of being. I wonder if is that some sort of different opportunity for companies to engage and express in AI. So what I mean specifically by that, I'm going to try to articulate this, because it's the nice thing about these conversations is they give me little seed thoughts that I haven't thought through. So I'm thinking through it live. So much of what we do is for companies to get a product to market faster or get some type of business outcome faster.
To make a change.
Right. And it's for faster is because you want revenue and all this. Okay, so we've established that. What if that's wrong? What if the whole idea is, you just said you have all these sort of like layered agents that connect into all these pieces, but every website or every product that you view it becomes a creative expression between you and that brand, right? And so part of this multi-layered agent thing is pulling the information that it knows about you, pulling the information that it knows about a brand, and crafting a product or an experience, right? The website for you. We talk about personalized experiences and websites, and most of the time that might mean like personalized content or something like an image or putting it in my language. But if you could somehow harness like what Google or something knows about me and my creative spirit, and you interlace that within what a company has, then truly reality starts to become shaped to you. But it is all about this creative expression. So instead of just there's more product, things become this melding or interlacing of bits and pieces to create experiences. I don't know if I'm explaining this. I'm picturing this in my head as like this very sort of warping and weaving happening between who I am and who a brand is, and how is it not about the product but about the culmination of information between the brand and myself to create whatever that experience might be. Maybe it's a product, maybe it's a digital experience or a website, maybe it's something we don't know yet. Maybe websites become experiences for us, right? Maybe we travel like a Minecraft thing. You travel into a website, especially when you get into augmented reality, the Vision Pro, it creates this for you. But this is something that has nothing to do with efficiency. You could use AI in such effective and unique ways there. Yeah. And it really is a fundamental shift of how everybody has been thinking about the usage and application of AI thus far.
There is a real market opportunity they're building, and I think people are very well aware of this, of the owners of these AI engines behind everything we use, like Grok, like Claude, like ChatGPT, where you start to build up quite deep understandings of individuals and how much you leverage that. We know that Google started out with that idea of do no harm, which has kind of gone quietly away, and that their way of operating and using customer data, as we look at things like surveillance capitalism, is very much geared towards growing market share, towards growing revenue. But there is an opportunity there to say, well, look, I understand who you are, Joe, as an individual, so you interact with my engine, and I understand the values that are important to you, the principles that are important to you, that even stepping aside of the revenue generating aspect of it, looking at how you could connect through to brands who understand that there's value in that. If we look at how Nike positions in terms of their position as a brand, attracting people who are into the same things, who believe the same things. Red Bull, been watching loads of Red Bull videos recently. I mean, they sell an energy drink, but a lot of their marketing is around these crazy extreme sports. So you attract people who are interested in that. Whether they take part or not, they'll drink the Red Bull because they want to feel part of that movement. Harley Davidson's another one. People get tattoos with Harley Davidson tattoos because they're so aligned with that brand. So if you could map and match people to those connected values and then start that journey, there's a market there to do that connection. But B, once you've got them there, how can you then build that through AI as a springboard?
There's a great book, I believe it's called Get Together, that's all about how do you build community and like rituals and badges and like proximity and things. My first thought, as you'll always know, is it goes to Twitch and small communities and gaming communities and all of this. But I'll tell you something that's been interesting to me, and I don't know how I'm quite going to tie this back yet. I'm a huge professional wrestling fan, and over the past, let's say, several years, it has really changed into this, like every live event is this massive experience that you go into, and you even notice it with the crowds, right? The wrestler's entrance music is made to be like sung along to. Yeah. You have the catchphrases, you have the merchandise, you have the booths, you have the autograph sessions. And then when you have what they now call premium live events, it will become this 2 or 3 or 4 day sort of setup, and it's very experiential. And I just go back to that idea like Twitch, Minecraft, or online, right? WWE, the wrestling company, is this mixture of online and in real life. And I just start to think, are these some of the things that AI can be used for, where, again, it goes back to craft an experience that is unique and just for me, that is a mixture of online and offline, that is a mixture of personal and community. I'm grasping here because I feel like there's something, but I just keep going back to this idea that I enter into a digital experience that is made for me and is crafted for me. And then it can, because of augmented reality, you can bring it into a physical space.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. We're not there yet. I think we've got like 10 years before we start to see that becoming a reality, but we can see the seeds of it now. When we see like AI video starting and having had to play with a bit of that, you can see, okay, it's hard work now to do AI video, but it's doable. And if you're committed, you can really start to put together consistent themes and styles that kind of work. I did a bit of a play a couple of weeks ago around this, and you can. And so it's not that huge a leap saying, could we connect it to real-time AR where you're experiencing it in the space around you? Probably a bit hard work at the moment, but it will come.
I guess, with the augmented reality stuff, I just think, what does that bring live events? And I guess maybe the reason I brought up the community side is everybody seems to be going down this very Black Mirror path of, the AI boyfriend or girlfriend or the AI companion and how this is going to destroy society. All these very negative things. And someone told me this once. It's like the future is written by optimists, right? You have to be able to see something and go there. Now, whether that's a good future or bad future, you can debate that, because every optimist is going to be an optimist in their own head. Maybe not everybody will see it that way. I
think you're right. I think the trouble we have is that a lot of our society and a lot of the stuff we ingest in terms of information comes from the media, comes from press. And unfortunately, the press likes sensationally bad news. So I saw an article this morning about Taco Bell's AI ordering system. And the article was started by shooting them down, talking about how that someone had ordered 18,000 bottles of water through their system, or had hundreds of dollars worth of chicken nuggets added to their order by mistake. And there's a few things like this because people love to shoot down AI. People love to point at where it goes wrong and how it's problematic. Partly, I think, because of the fear of job loss that comes with it at the moment, because people don't really understand it. But I think also because people like to hear bad news. People like the sort of ghoul TV. They like to hear about things going wrong that they can laugh at, because it's partly escapism and takes you away from your own current situation. But I think what I liked about the article, it might be BBC or The Guardian, it was a UK one, was that they came back to the end and said there was someone from Taco Bell saying, yes, we've had some problems, but we've also put through 2 million orders successfully on it. So there might have been 3 or 4 that you're quoting about, but 2 million orders done correctly. It's not bad, really.
And that would be the same sort of argument as Tesla, right? It's like whenever someone dies in Tesla, you get this like, look at how bad this is. And then Elon, with his sort of lack of tact, is like, yeah, but it's less death than human drivers.
Yikes.
Like, be happy about that. But I mean, like something like that. It's easy to get wrapped up in the bad things. And I think even at Sapient, right, we're making our own AI products, and people were like, why are we doing this, right? And just crapping all over it. And I'm thinking,
why would you buy technology from a company that doesn't make its own AI products?
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing. It's like, no one has done this. We don't have any case studies with customers. We have to build our own products to show customers that we can do it, right? Maybe our products aren't perfect, but it's the idea that you have to be optimistic to take steps forward. It is so easy to say, nothing will work, everything sucks, we're never going to do anything. Where is that going to get you? It's going to get you nowhere, right? It's the same thing with people who are like, why would I learn that, right? Like I personally was not a fan of cryptocurrency, right? I was like, people who are saying this is money don't really understand money, right? It's a value store, value exchange, a little bit different from how we think of fiat currency. But I did go and read like 5 or 6 books on it, because I thought, I could be wrong, right? And part of me was wrong, part of me was right? Cool. But the thing is,
there's a podcast on its own.
Yeah, it's so easy to crap on something, not understand it, and not take the steps to try to understand it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the problem. So I go back to this negative spin part. So you can go down the route of everybody's going to have their AI companion, it's going to destroy society, et cetera, et cetera. Or I can say, look at what Twitch and what, Magic, the card game I just mentioned, because I do have digital side of that. Look at, sort of different esports or comic events or, all these different things, WWE again, that can bring people together and create community. And you can do so much with AI in the space to customize experiences, to customize how you engage with these things. But it just feels like, everyone's just sitting pointing at the negative thing, and you're like, yep, there's some stuff that doesn't work very well. Nothing is going to get solved that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's because, as you said, that people are quite goal-oriented, and that people are looking at AI as a solution or a problem solver for them. And I really liked what you said earlier about actually maybe AI is and I might be paraphrasing you, but AI is a stronger contributor to the journey than necessarily the end goal. The end goal, I think, probably does have to come from people, ultimately, for it to have value. But the actual journey itself, as a experience and as a value contributor itself, there's interest there. Certainly, I enjoy working with AI to build things, but we could look at that across the breadth of experience.
I didn't quite say journey, which is interesting. Now, because I do think that is really interesting. I was thinking more of, although now that I say it, it sounds very similar, like the creative process or creative expression, right? And that is an interesting way of how do you, again, I guess where I'm coming to in this conversation is the idea of I can visualize this. I can't figure out how to say it. But with products, there is a product, which means there is a thing there that you create that has a state to it. And it goes back to that state versus that process type of thing. And with a product, you are going through and you're creating the product and you purchase that product. And with a creative endeavor, you can have something that matches you, that goes along this journey and this process, and it helps you explore, it helps you create, but there isn't a 0 or 1. Maybe that's what it is. There is no 0 or 1. It is just about the ongoing endeavor. Somebody wrote this a while ago. I forget who it was. It was a book. And then I think it was a great... I can't remember any of it, but it was like the infinite game. Maybe it was Simon Sinek or something like that. But how life is the infinite game, right? We think in terms of like, once I get this career stage, once I get this thing, completely. Stop thinking like that. Think that this is just your life. It is your creative pursuit or process. And it goes back. It goes back to that bag of chips on the ground where you're just like, okay, this is life.
Yeah.
Sometimes life is a crappy bag of crushed chips on the ground.
Someone else's chips.
Someone else's chips. And I'm just going to look at it and think like, this is what the moment is. Yeah. But then you sort of pick yourself up and you keep walking. But it's, you have those, again, I can't get this picture out of my head of this guy's like sort of face and composure of looking at just a bag of like broken chips on the ground, which felt like he was like, why am I here? What am I doing?
I had a similar one a couple of months ago where we had a glass coffee table, and it's one of these tempered glass tabletops, which when it breaks, it shatters into a million pieces. And we had one lot that we had one shatter on us, so we bagged it up into a bin bag and stuck it out for the rubbish to be collected. And I remember pulling away out of my house as the bin lorry turned up, and they parked by the side, And I was just doing my sat nav at the end of the road, watching them in the mirror as they picked up this bag, carried it towards the back of the thing, and the bottom of it burst at the bottom, right next to their lorry. And the guy was just holding this bag and the glass all over there, tiny, tiny little piece of glass on the floor. I'm looking at it going, I have no idea how you're going to pick that up. That's going to be a nightmare. Unless you've got a big broom and a big pan, it's not going to happen. And he just stood there staring for a while, and I had to go, so I drove off. When I came back, most of it was gone, so they figured it out somehow.
I love how there are these moments in life, and I'm sure everybody can relate. I was like years ago, maybe it was just like 7 or 8 years ago, and when I was living in Amsterdam, the lock on my bathroom door sort of was screwed up. And for some reason in Netherlands, it's sort of common to have like a deadbolt on a bathroom door.
Yeah.
But the bathroom doors are also like plywood. So I don't really understand it. But I noticed with mine that I would turn it and then it would get stuck. So you couldn't unturn it. So I was like, okay, I'm not locking the bathroom anymore. I lived alone. Uh-huh. I know this. I don't have to think about this. So, and then I had some friends and I went out to, I don't know, bar, club, something. They crashed over at my place. And in the morning, persons wake up like, I'm going to go take a shower. I hear them walk in and I hear a click.
Oh, no.
And I just think, don't let this be the day. So I'm sort of like sitting, waiting. And the bathroom isn't very far from the living room. So then you hear the like, Joe. And we were like, okay, what are we going to do here about this? And you have that moment of where you just sort of give up and you're like, we're going to have to break down the door, aren't we? So I got a fire extinguisher and smashed it through the door and then proceeded to like break the door down, like break a hole enough for a
Shining
person
style.
to get out. Yeah, Shining style. And then I just sort of looked at it once this person got out and I was like, there's a hole in the door.
In the bathroom door.
Yeah, in the bathroom door. And I was like, yep, that's not getting fixed. I'm like, and I had it for until I left Amsterdam. I think it was like a year. I was just like, I'm like, I'm not fixed. Like that was the bag of chips for me. It was like, you're just looking at this. My friend walks out of it and, and then sort of both of you turn around and look at the door and you're like, well, guess we should order Papa John's and watch a movie because we're hungover, right? But like, I don't know, all of these things. What I'm loving about this episode is just all of these things where you look at AI and you're like, maybe just things are over.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm okay with this. Maybe I'm okay to just sit in my pod and get my AI drip and have my AI companion, and that's what it is. But I don't think so. I think there's something so much more beautiful around the idea that this can be a creative process, a journey, an exploration tool. Like you said, this democratization of technology that allows you, like GarageBand, you and so many other people to explore so many new things that were never available to you, that it could be an explosion of creativity that we haven't even sort of understood the part that AI can play into that. And so for everything over the last, whatever it's been, 6 months that we've been talking about this with efficiency and all of these things, maybe that's what we've missed. We're looking down, we're at a fork in the road and we're looking down one side and we're just missing the other side.
Maybe it's a factor linked to our capitalist age-old approach to things.
For sure.
Maybe actually the products aren't what we're trying to sell each other, but maybe we are the products. That when we think about why do you play guitar, it's not because you're deluded or convinced you're going to become Eddie Van Halen in a couple of years or Joe Satriani or something. It's because you're enjoying the process. Maybe you are the product, and actually the tools help get you there. AI is possibly the most powerful one we've seen in a very long time.
You don't mean that, because when you say you are the product, you can also see that in the nefarious side of like Facebook around like, oh, if the tool is free, you're the product. You're saying that just like you are this thing that can arrive at different states or
completely.
different points of being, And in that way, think of yourself as a product that is evolving and
Completely.
continuing to grow and continuing to expand based off, like if you're a digital product, you're always growing based off new technology and whatever, new bits and pieces of information that can expand and extend you. That's an interesting way to think about it.
And what I like about it is that I don't think a single organization is broad enough or likely to be able to be broad enough to fully own your development. So they could own a piece of it and contribute to a piece of it, but actually we are too nuanced and individual and broad as characters for it to be possible, even with AI.
I love that. I think that's where we're going to wrap up, because that is such a positive sort of outcome or positive spin on things, that we're not heading towards a monopolistic future. We are heading towards a future that is creative, that is expansive, and that will only sort of help us as people continue a pursuit of knowledge or creativity or whatever we would like.
That's a great end. Great end.
Dunbar, I don't know. We're going to be a few weeks off because I'm traveling, but
Me too.
Okay, yeah, you too. So
2 weeks or so.
yeah. Well, then I will see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good.